Yeah. Together we learn, together we grow, together we heal, together we flow. Be cool, every teacher, every school. 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 Be cool, every teacher, every school.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Scholl. I'm the lead learner at the SCEA Center for Educator Wellness and Learning. We call ourselves COOL, and you can find more about our mission to improve the inner and outer lives of educators right here at cool.us. And we have all kinds of amazing resources for public school educators, but really anybody is welcome to check out what we have to offer. Everything from wellness resources, like what you're going to see tonight about mindfulness retreats. We have workshops on trauma-informed practices. We have information on nutrition. We have a yoga teacher who teaches every week. We have also an amazing program led by Dr. Marcella Weinsnyder. It is our Cool Induction Institute, and she and some of her colleagues do free Cool coaching, but they also do professional learning for certain districts in South Carolina for their induction teachers. And so we have a whole array of programs and services. If you're interested in free professional learning at your public school or district in South Carolina, just go to the Cool website, cool.us, and there's a link there. You can request free professional learning. We'll set that up, the time, the date, and the content with you and tailor it to your school or your district's needs. And that is a free service. You do not have to be a member of the SCEA to be a part of Cool. But we are sponsored by the National Education Association and the South Carolina Education Association. And if you are interested in joining, now is a great time to join, to become a part of the movement to create the kind of schools that all students and educators deserve. And you can join right here on this link, jointhescea.org. You can also go to the scea.org to learn more about our association and all the things we have to offer. So tonight's show is going to feature an incredible guest, a very inspirational guest. She was the keynote speaker at our Educator Health and Wellness Day that we held this last July with Columbia College and sponsored by Circle of Rest. That's Veronica Primus's group. And she talked about how mindfulness changed her life and the work that she's doing in mindfulness with students. And it was a very inspirational speech. And I think everybody there was just really it was a very emotional and powerful speech. So I wanted to have her on tonight to talk about mindfulness. Many of you know that mindfulness is probably the thing I'm most passionate about when it comes to education and really my own personal life, other than my kids and my family. Friends, but mindfulness has been a powerful thing in my life, something that I discovered as I was going through therapy, and it's been a very, very supportive thing. And so about 8 years ago, Jelena Popovich and I created the first mindfulness retreats for educators in South Carolina that was held at Newberry College. And we've been holding those retreats since then. And through the grant from NEA, the GPS grant, we've been able to fund a very affordable retreats for educators. And we're about ready to release the information on the 2025 mindfulness or wellness retreats for educators. They will be held this summer. We know we're going to hold one in June and probably one in July. And when we come back from the holidays, we should have more concrete information to share with you about those retreats. If you're interested, you can go to the Cool website, again, cool.us. and then just put /retreat, or you can look for the navigation tab up at the top for retreat and learn more about the model that Yelena and I have created for mindfulness retreats. They're secular. They're 3 days and 2 nights. Held at Indigo Retreat Center in Old Fort, North Carolina, which is recovering from Helene. But we were told that they should have all of the recovery efforts completed by March, so plenty of time for us to be ready for our retreats coming up this summer. The usually the cost is around $150 for members of the SCEA, $250 for non-members. So great incentive for you to join the SCEA. You can save $100 on our retreats. It includes your meals, your lodging, all the yoga sessions, a book, everything that you need other than your own travel. It includes snacks and coffee, everything. So we hope that you'll check that out when we put that information out this January. But tonight, let's get to tonight's guest. I'm really excited. Jalisa is a passionate and dedicated early childhood educator. She has 18 years of experience in the early childhood education field. Nurturing young minds and cultivating a safe and inclusive environment that fosters social and emotional, cognitive, and physical development are some of Jalisa's specialty skills. As the current director and mindfulness director of Minds in Motion Learning Center, located in Greer, South Carolina. Jalisa was born and raised in Boston, where she graduated from Social Justice Academy in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. She later went on to study early childhood development and administration at Greenville Technical College and mindfulness with Mindful Schools. Jalisa has over 3 years of experience practicing and embodying mindfulness in the classroom and her personal life through breath work, mindful movement, yoga, meditation, and teaching kindness for oneself and others. So, without further ado, let's welcome Jalisa White. How are you tonight, Jalisa?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. And I told you earlier, but I'm going to tell you again, I love the earrings and the hat.
Thank
Yeah, thank you for showing up tonight. And I just want to say again, thank you for what you did for our Educator Health and Wellness Day. It was such a wonderful keynote, one of my favorite keynotes. Let's just start off with telling folks, I mean, I shared your bio. Is there anything else that you'd like folks to know about you before we kind of dig deep into our conversation tonight?
I'm a mom of 3. I'm a lover of love and joy. And thank you for your compliment of my hat and my earrings. I've tried to practice putting on everything that brings me joy.
Yeah. So let's talk about this story that you shared. I thought it was really. I mean, obviously, most of the people watching didn't hear that story, but in any way you want to tell it, maybe talk about your story about like our tonight's topic, which is how mindfulness changed your life.
Okay, well, we met at the conference, which was an amazing conference. I had got asked to just speak about my journey with mindfulness and kind of why and being an educator. And it kind of took a spin on its own. And I'm not normally a public speaker. So I was just happy that I was able to get to share my story because I think that's important for everybody to get to use their voice and share their story, because that's how we get to get connected with each other and sometimes get advice and things like that. But yeah, I'm Jalisa. I'm a mom of 3. I come from Boston, Massachusetts. I currently reside in Greenville, South Carolina right now. And I work at a early childhood learning center. And I work with ages from infancy all the way up to middle school of age. My work has also expanded into working with the teachers, staff, families as well too. My passion is community. And I have been blessed to be able to work for a company that loves community as well, and they are passionate about cultivating a community. Some of our pillars are mindfulness and sustainability, and I just love that. And I want to bring that to the community as best I can. And sharing my story and me, sometimes being transparent and vulnerable is the best way that I can do that. And I decided to it's okay if I'm not a public speaker. I'm gonna go out there and still tell my story. So that's how we got to meet.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
I don't so wouldn't sell yourself short. I think you are an amazing speaker, and I think what makes you an incredible speaker, and I think this is what sets apart great speakers, is their willingness to be vulnerable and their willingness to sort of
Mm,
tell truths.
yeah,
And I think that was what was so beautiful um, about your what you delivered to other educators this past summer.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about more about that, about how you how it was sort of how your life's journey led to finding mindfulness, and then how mindfulness specifically started to transform things for you?
Yeah, so as you know, so I'm like I said, I'm from Boston, and I've when I was in Boston, the prompted to move was because I had children and we were homeless and living in a homeless shelter, and the homeless shelter at that time, they told us that it'll be like 10 years before we can get even any some type of help, and I was like, I don't want to wait 10 years. I'm going to figure out what I can do right now. And that just prompted a move to South Carolina, to where I felt like there were a little more resources, probably a little more better financial stability for me and to raise my children and just in search of a better life. And I went out on a limb, and the shelter, even they gave us two suitcases and a plane ticket. And I got on the plane and I came down here and I applied for housing and literally got it right away, um, which was amazing to me because before we had been battling homelessness for a couple of years, um, and stuff. So I just took that leap of faith, wanting to have something better for me and my children. When I got down here, though, I was like, okay, what now? What are we going to do? I need to work. I need to figure out what is my career. Now, as somebody that had been previously before, I had been on the welfare system, collected assistance. I knew from that, and being in the shelter, they have you take classes that you want to be smart. You want to create a budget and you want to make sure that your income is, is more than what your expenses going out. So I knew that I didn't want to just get a job where um, it was just going to be just quick money, not enough pay, where once I'm off, because my goal is to get off the system. And so I said, I'm going to go for now, like I said, I'm chasing my dreams. I'm in South Carolina. I'm taking that leap of faith. So before I used to try and listen to other people and what they told me to do. And I had some family. I was in the healthcare field, trying to be a nurse. Oh, that's easier. It makes good money. So when I said, nope, I'm chasing my dreams, I'm down here, I'm going to go for my dream. And that's how I got into early childhood education. I said, it's always been in my background in my family. And I decided, I said, you know what? I'm not going to listen to nobody and I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to go into early childhood education. So I started applying for jobs. And lo and behold, I landed at the company that I happen to be at now. I had applied to be their K2 teacher because that was my specialty before. Working with 2-year-olds, I just love that age group. They're at the perfect age where they're still young and they're exploring and they're not yet too older. So I love 2-year-olds. So I applied for there at Minds in Motion Academy. And that's kind of where the mindfulness really um, took place, hearing that word mindfulness. I remember us having a staff meeting, and the owners had brought in this lady before we got started with our meeting. We were to sit down, we got in a circle, and we were gonna breathe. And she had this sound bowl. And I remember me and my co-teacher who was in the room at the time, we were like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah.
Because neither one of us we're from South Carolina. Then we're like, they having us practice mindfulness. And this lady pulled out a bowl, we're sitting in a circle, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that moment, I had to do was just be still for like 2 minutes. And that sitting and being still, and with that sound, I don't know what happened. My body just began to cry. I just started crying.
Yeah.
At a staff meeting, I'm at work trying to be professional.
Yeah.
And here I am just crying down. I think it was that moment of stillness
Yeah.
where I was able to, now, mind you, here it is. I came from the shelter. I went to um, having an apartment, trying to get self stabilized. And so I've been going and going and trying to work. And here I am, I'm on a goal. I'm in a mission because now I'm in survival mode because I'm in the midst of the struggle and I'm trying to get to the next level. And I think that was probably my first moment really like sitting still. And the lady said I had to focus on myself and what I was feeling and to take note of that. And just all these emotions came out.
Mm.
And I remember the owner coming over to me and just hugging me and holding me in that moment, just that gentleness she had with me, that openness. I felt safe.
Mm.
And then having that conversation with her, she talked to me. Um, and I shared a little bit of why I was crying with her, and she understood me. And she began to share a little more with me about her journey with mindfulness. And that made me want to dive more deeper into this world.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think a lot of people think of mindfulness, they conflate it with like just sitting in Zen and you're very peaceful or whatever. And one of the things that's really interesting about when we do pause and have that stillness, especially if we've been used to being so busy and we've had so many stressful events that like we're just getting over one stressful event. And it could even be positive stress, like I'm trying to move, but I mean moving itself, even though if you feel excited about it or hopeful, can be a really stressful event. But like you're going through so much, so by the time you're done with that one, then something else stressful starts where you're just like you said, just on going, 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 and then all of a sudden you're asked to sit still for a minute, and
Yeah.
it's like then the emotions kind of catch up, like with oh, this is the stuff I've been holding back for so long because I've been too busy to even look at myself because I've been looking outside myself to make sure everything's okay.
Yep.
So a lot of times that happens. I think when people practice mindfulness, those emotions, as you know, can come up, and sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's sadness, but sometimes it can be peaceful. But I mean, just so many different things can come up. Talk about then what happened after that. So you had this initial experience with mindfulness, and then what happened from there?
So, like I said, the owner had shared her story with me. And so it was that first story being shared with me and her testimony that was able to, and me seeing her telling me where she came from and seeing where she's at now, and just this beautiful soul in front of me who walks the walk and talks the talk. I was just like, I need that. I need that. I have been, you ever feel like sometimes you've been running around in circles,
Mm.
or on that hamster wheel of life, and you're just like, I have tried it this way, I have tried it that way. Now let me try it this way. And that way, the way that I was going to try was, let me help Jalisa.
Yeah.
Jalisa can't be a mom. Jalisa can't be a friend, a sister, a teacher. She can't be anything until she starts to heal those things within herself. But
Mm.
Jalisa first has to sit down and take note and be in the present moment and even asking herself these questions. It's little as down to, I realized something I realized about myself. I don't really like Pepsi, but I have drunk Pepsi, Coca-Cola, soda, and I'm like, oh, it really actually tastes kind of weird, different. I don't like it. And that's okay. I learned things about myself that I don't like to eat. I learned things about myself that, this makes me feel uncomfortable, and or this choice is not a good choice for me because this is how I'm feeling in this moment. Or wow, I realized, or even when I sat down, you know what? I didn't even feed myself today.
Mm.
So me just stopping, because mindfulness is all about just being in the present moment,
Right.
just being in the present moment. And I like to take self inventory in that moment. And once you in that moment, you can ask yourself these questions, kind of sit down and really figure out how you were feeling.
Right.
So I had to start there first so then I can start making the correct choices for my life. Because, yeah, I was getting somewhere, but I was still tired. I was still exhausted. I was still sad, feeling depressed,
Mm-hmm.
battling, still battling the darkness. And I wasn't understanding why I
Right.
was all this was happening. I was doing everything from, even, going to church, trying to do everything with family. Nothing was really sticking and working until I started to be mindful, practice mindfulness, and for my personal self. And then that's when things just started to open up. Um, I was able to observe things and answer the questions that needed to be answered. And it just made me all around a better mom, teacher, and person, I feel like.
Yeah. I think for me, like, what I notice is there's like this, we're always aware, right? We're awake, we're
Mm.
aware of what's going on, you're aware of like people around you. But it's like this meta awareness where you're like aware of that awareness, and you're actually being intentional about what you're doing rather than kind of going through the motions, the habits. So it is like an awakening. It's like a different, it's almost like waking up from a different level of consciousness. Like instead of just being running around with the same old habits and patterns and just being driven by the fears and the anxieties that we have, it's like you're stepping back, like you're talking about, and developing an awareness of like, what am I doing here? Like
Yeah.
what am I about to say here? When I'm do I need to, this thing that I'm worrying about, this thing that I'm replaying and ruminating and chewing on, is this something I need to continue to, is it helpful for me to continue thinking about it, or can I let it go? So maybe talk about how, like, as you began to practice, what types of changes you started to notice in your life and in your work.
Um, one of my biggest changes is how I show up in the world, and two, um, how I react to other people, and my connections with other people. Um, being one of the biggest things, being in the classroom, we working with children as teachers, one of the things I first, having a personal practice helped me realize and gain more control in my classroom, because I was more in control and aware of myself.
Right.
And as you know, we with working with little children, they pick up your energy. They pick up your energy. If you are not in a good mood, they're gonna figure out a way to enhance that.
Mhm.
And they're gonna pick up on that energy. And one of the things that I recognize, I am just doing mindful observation in the classroom for myself and with my students. That helped me really big. I was able to recognize with myself, okay, at these points in the day, this is when I start to get a little tired. Oh, so I might need a pick me up around this time. And I also recognize that this is what works for me in the classroom as far as my strength. And now I'm able to communicate that to my co-teacher. And I can tell her, hey, these are when I am stressed out or not needing to regulate my emotions. These are the things that I like to do. These are the things that bring me joy. And these are also the things that are my weaknesses in the classroom. And now I'm able to, because I'm aware of that, I can communicate that with her and we can collaborate better and support each other. I also can take time with, I've been able to take time with my students, because sometimes we have our set perceived ideas of what we think is going on, but it really just takes us a moment to sit down and observe someone. And we
Yeah.
could be thinking someone's doing something, and sometimes we take it personal too, but really that's not what's going on. We can be thinking that a child, like example, a child could be crying And you're like, what's going on? And they're not explaining it to you, what's going on, what's going on. But if I take a moment and I just try and watch, I might realize, oh, he has a rock or some mulch in his shoe. Even though he can't express that to me because some 1-year-olds and toddlers are not going to express that to you, but I'm going to see them moving and stuff. Just take a moment instead of saying, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah.
So I love what you said about, I think people underestimate like what you're bringing into the classroom, how your energy impacts the classroom. And it's not to say, I think sometimes people misconstrue when you talk about that, like, okay, the entire culture is on you and it's like, it's your fault if the culture is bad and it's, but it's like, I do see how when I'm practicing regularly, just how I'm interacting with people. And it's like, it's not even anything. Sometimes I'm not even conscious of it till like later on. And I think, wait, I was way more patient today. I didn't get nearly as upset over traffic and the other little things that might just agitate me. Like I'm just kind of rolled with the day, and it felt like it was flowing better, even though it wasn't really qualitatively much different. It's just the how I went through it was different. My question to you is: so you're the mindfulness director at this school. As you see mindfulness, I would love to see a mindfulness director at every school. How has mindfulness impacted the school-wide culture at your school?
First, the main thing I would honestly say is employment. We working in childcare, and as teachers, we went through just even recently not having a lot of teachers. A lot of people don't want to be teachers no more nowadays. And so you are seeing a lot of high turnover rates in childcare and at the school system as well. And I believe that my company having a mindfulness director, I know for a fact from talking to some of the employees and the teachers and stuff that mindfulness is a big part of why they enjoy working for the company. And it has helped renew them when they have gotten, I like to call it teacher rot of like burnt out.
Right.
And stuff. Mindfulness has helped that. It has also even helped people too, where they see areas that they may want to develop more in their career. So employment from the turnover rate, a lot of people were burnt out and not wanting to into work. It's not just we're not just babysitting,
Right.
we're teachers as well. And we have routine schedules, lesson plans, all that stuff too. And you get burned out from it. And I think that when we added mindfulness and that support for the teachers, of course, it's invitational, so it's optional. But when we added that support and we added where we have our teachers where they're able to come out and take a 15-minute break and go and practice mindfulness with the mindfulness director. And you see them going back to class, maybe feeling a little more refreshed. Or able to get some of the things off their chest. We are humans first. So sometimes, we say jobs will say leave your what's going on in your personal life at home, but sometimes that's hard to do. And when you come into work, you may still be feeling the effects. And to have a company that can say, hey, we have a whole therapy room set up. We have someone here that if you need help with a guided, if you need a moment to be still, if you need a moment to mindfully walk the parking lot, playground, if you need a moment to yourself to just sit down.
Yeah.
We provide that support because your mental health matters. We need stable people in the classroom, stable teachers. And I think that I love that my company has provided that for the teachers. I have seen we have a full house of staff, and I'm proud of that. We have an amazing staff, and I'm proud of that as well. As far as children, I have some beautiful souls that know how to express themselves and tell me, Miss J, This is how I feel today. And when I walk in, are we going to do yoga, Miss J? Look at this pose. They're getting excited about their wellness, about their bodies. They're learning about themselves. They're able to express themselves other than you'll see them grow from that screaming phase and them tantrums to being able to tell you what's going on and why they don't like that. You also see those connections being built between students and teachers of where now they're having conversations and these students are able to express themselves in a different way to the teachers and they're able to show up and be present. I'm also watching teachers. One of my favorite things I love is take going outside with the kids because I see the teachers going down the slides with the kids, on the swings with the kids. They're living their inner childhood with the kids, and they're presently and actively engaging and playing in the classroom. And I have a lot of students that's always saying, "I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home." So that's a good thing. They want to stay and play because when you're presently engaging with them,
Right.
different.
Right.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I love that, and I your point about we're humans first, like all of the students, no matter where those watching, no matter what school or district you're in, um, all the students and all the adults in those buildings, we come in and we're humans first. And I think sometimes schools get so focused on the testing and the rules and the procedures and the academics and all of that stuff, which all of that is essential and important. But when you don't prioritize at all the people's humanity, that's I think that's what leads to even more burnout, and it's why a lot of teachers are leaving the profession because their humanity is not being honored at all, and then they see it happening to their students as well, like their humanity is not being honored at all, and they don't want to be a part of a system that's not honoring that real humanity that's in all of us, and the need for us to fundamentally be well, whether that's physically or mentally or both. Like that wellness, if that's not foundational, we know from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if we aren't fundamentally well, then all the academics and everything else, all that stuff is not going to be matter. It isn't going to matter, and all the rules and procedures, we're just going to struggle with enforcing them because people don't know how to express their needs like you're talking about. They just, whether it's kids or students, they feel like they have to stifle that in order to meet the needs of the system. So I love the fact that you're cultivating this idea of wellness first. And I see you have Jed Derryberry's shirt on, love first, teach second. I'm
Yes.
sure he would be thrilled to know that you're wearing his shirt. A good friend of mine. Talk about that phrase and what that means to you to love first and teach second.
That's everything. Everything. Like as I we are all human first. And I think I can't even ask you to focus on your ABCs and one, two, threes if I don't even have a connection with you, if I don't even show you any kind of love. For you want to show up. Your emotions, your mental health, and your health, that matters first. Um, and sometimes we can come in very focused on the goal at hand, and the numbers. And
Yeah.
like you said, with these testing and things like that, and the numbers. But before I can even get you in the right headspace, I realized that let me love on you first.
Hmm.
And I we get a little bit further, we get a lot farther. I
Yeah.
have a student I use as an example all the time. And the student, he is an amazing, smart little boy. But if he has not had no breakfast, I'm not getting nothing out of him. So in the morning, I can either be like, oh, I'm forcing you, I'm gonna be this, or I'm gonna be upset that maybe mom or dad was running late and forgot to grab you this, and I'm gonna be like, oh, and talk. No, come on, let's go see what we got in the kitchen.
Right.
Let's get you something to eat. I'm gonna pick and choose my battles. Um, but I'm also going to be mindful. That's being mindful. I know I don't want to do anything if I'm hungry. I know I don't want to do anything if someone isn't kind to me first, or if I don't feel. Always want to show up, show my best, and show up and be my best when I feel loved, and I feel like no matter what, my duty here on this earth is to show you love first, and show you and teach you about love first, and all that other stuff will come.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree 100%. And what I like about what you're saying too is like I think teachers can get in the habit of really resisting what's happening in the present moment. Like in that case where the student comes in, and if the more you're in resistance to the fact that this kid didn't eat and that's why he's cranky, it's going to be difficult,
Hmm.
and you can just stay in that resistance, or you can just drop the resistance. Like I wish that he'd gotten something to eat so I wouldn't have to deal with it, so we can go ahead and start with a lesson or whatever. But that's what today brought, and I can be in resistance to that and try to warp the situation and the kid and drag him to where I want him to be, or I can recognize there's something that's got to come first before the teaching, and that really does come out of putting love as the priority. And I think it's also that way. I hope that any administrators watching, it's the same way with your teachers. Like,
Yep.
you may wish that your teachers weren't having a problem at home, didn't their parents aren't sick, or their kids aren't struggling with something, or they're going through a divorce or having financial issues. You wish that they all came in and they're happy and they're ready to teach. But that's just not the reality for a lot of teachers. They're coming in and they're struggling, and then they're coming into a teaching environment which is just stressful, inherently stressful. So you can be in resistance to that as an administrator and try to pound it into them to get them to do what you want, or you can talk with them and get to know, love them, and then lead them second. So I wish we take this aphorism of love first, teach second, and apply it to teachers of love first, administrate second.
Mhm.
Love on these teachers, love on the students in your building, and that love is infectious. If we take care of people and see them as human beings and understand that they have needs that need to be met first before we can prioritize all this other stuff. But the problem is that in a public school, when the test scores are the god of everything that happens, this
Mhm.
is what gets sacrificed in that drive for achievements and for improved data. What gets sacrificed along the way is this love. It too often gets sacrificed is love and humanity. And I think that's what's driving a lot of people out of the profession. But we are fortunate in South Carolina and really across the country that we have amazing human beings, even within that crappy system, still going in and loving on students, even if they're not receiving the love that and the treatment that they deserve. They're giving that to students, and so I really appreciate what you're saying, what you're doing at school is like a model for how a lot of schools should think about how they approach their colleagues and their students. As you look forward, um, in your role as the mindfulness director, what are some things that you're implementing this year, or some things that you hope to implement moving forward?
Um, my main goal in move next year is to get the knowledge out there, get the word out there, get mindfulness out there. A lot of people also to debunk what it is and what it isn't. A lot of people have this idea, and sometimes they're a little far off. A lot of people think it's a lot of work. And it's not. And to continue to model that, and to bring that to my community, and bring it to the communities that I came from. Bring it back to the shelters, bring it back to the income based complexes, bring it back to the Title I schools with a lot of the income based students are going to, bring it back to the trenches, and to help everybody say, understand what it is and what this tool is and how they can use it. I plan on doing that with community workshops. You can catch me every third Saturday here at my building. practicing mindfulness with the families and extended people of the community of Greer, South Carolina. Um, I'm also opening up clubs, and I always, anything that I do, I want to give my students a voice. And so the next year, I'm going to be really showcasing my mindfulness leaders and letting them take over the world.
That's great.
Um, these are students that we've had in our program from 3 years old, from 2 years old. They were, and now they're in elementary school. And um, I have teachers that tell me, "Oh, your student taught me how to take five and taught the class how to take five, or they showed the class this." And I said, "Yep, they have a voice, and I'm gonna get them out there." So that's my goal. Is for you'll see my mindfulness leaders coming to you next, the children.
That's great. One of the things I've been thinking about as you've been talking is I can sort of feel this joy coming from you, and like you talked about, like I want to wear the things that bring me joy, and I've been thinking a lot lately about how I really think joy is sort of this natural state that we have, but we just, as we develop as children into adulthood, we kind of layer over that joy and peace with all these things, like all of our responsibilities, but also all of our fears about not belonging, or just feeling unsafe, or maybe feeling rejected by the world, or whatever trauma we might experience. And then it's almost like we unlearn how to access that joy. And what I am hearing from you is like this need for all people, not just a certain race of people or people in a certain uh, uh, social status or economic group or nationality or whatever, resourced people. Like
Everybody.
everybody needs to learn how to reconnect with that joy. And that doesn't mean that we're denying the very real systemic issues. I know you have a social justice background. It's not that we're denying that. And I think that's one of the
Mhm.
myths that we have to dispel, is like, actually, for me anyway, what I've seen is when mindfulness is practiced and applied appropriately, people actually wake up to social justice issues and then have clarity about how to address that. But also in the process of advocating, like we do at the SCEA, or fighting, you're also learning how to reconnect with that authentic sense of joy that's within us all, without always being dour, and just learning how to have some resilience, but not resilience where you put up with crap, but that you can have some joy through the fight and through the systemic changes you're trying to make. Can you talk a little bit about that, like, and maybe any other myths that you try to dispel that people have about mindfulness?
Yeah, joy. Um, Joy was actually, it's so funny because that was actually one of the first kind of retreats, mindfulness retreats I kind of did, was an awakening joy retreat. And it was funny because it was Black Joy Awakening. And so it was the group was all African American people. And when I went to this retreat, I was like, "Oh my goodness, how in the world all these people know all about, like, they're here for awakening joy." And it was amazing to me to be still and focus on joy.
Right.
I feel like I was like, wow, so much of my life I spend on thinking about the lack, thinking about things that I'm unhappy with and what I need to change and where I need to go and what I need to do.
Right.
That I didn't realize that how that kind of thought has got me sad, given
Right.
me
Right.
anxiety,
Yeah.
and I wasn't happy. And so when I went onto this retreat and we were doing all of these practices to awaken our joy, and we were talking about that and what that looks like, um, I got to really focus on the joys of life and the beauties of life. And I realized to myself, I said, I'm going through life. I'm here. I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. So, what am I afraid of? What am I waiting on? So I
Right.
said, I'm going to snatch all the joy I can get. So,
Right.
from doing all those practices, um, it just so happened to help me start seeing the beauty in a lot of the darkness that I had. So the light started coming on
Right.
because I started practicing gratitude. I started, you know what? I'm going to be in the present moment. And I know right now the house may be messy, but I'm going to do some puzzles with my kids and we're going to have fun and we're going to do karaoke. My daughter's going to put on a one-man show. We're going to have, it's all right. It's all right. We're going to have, I'm going to enjoy this right now. I'm going to have joy. And that changed for me. That changed me from wanting, being a person that was sad all the time to, just finding the joy in everything, and we're gonna have fun. And I think that's important for people to do. This world, there's a lot of even when you watch the news, when just in everyday life you go on social media, there's a lot of sad stuff going on, a lot of people promoting a lot of the things that steal our joys.
Right.
So we need to really start stepping up. You only got one life, you're here right now, so just have fun. Have fun.
You know, and this doesn't have to be about denial of things that are hard,
No.
or like saying that I'm not allowed to feel sad or angry or frustrated or whatever. It's just about like, okay, you know, you go through something that's hard, but then it's like, where am I going to orient next? And, you know, it's like re-anchoring to that sense of joy and peace that's there, even through hard times. It's like, allow yourself to feel that, whatever it is you want to feel through it. But it's like, let's just let those things be a visitor. And then we come back to what we are innately, what we were as little children. I think most of it, like having that joy, that sense of enthusiasm, like I'm excited to be alive and I'm just happy to be here. And I have an opportunity today to go out and spread kindness and compassion and joy with other people. And I think mindfulness is such a powerful tool to set us up for that, because it gets us really to stop and look at the negative patterns that we can get into, the self-pity and the just like the always orienting towards our problems and our worries and concerns and everything, and kind of reorient to, let me just slow down, let me reconnect with what's underneath all of that, what's underneath all those layers, and then let's teach young people how to do that. Like that's what I love about your work. It's like you saw how beneficial it is to you, and then helping not only the students and your colleagues, but bringing in parents and community members, because, you know, if these kids can go home and they're learning it and it's being reinforced at home and it's reinforced at school, then here's the thing that I always tell educators. It's like, okay, so let's say your kid is the greatest academic success. Like they're all AP classes, they're getting straight A's, 4.0 GPA, all that. They're not joyful, and they're not at peace, and they're constantly feeling anxious and sad. It's like, wouldn't you rather it be the opposite, that your kid actually feels grounded and joyful and peaceful, and maybe they have a C average? I mean, I would, for all of my children, I would much rather trade in academic success for mental, physical wellness if it's a choice. So let's prioritize those things first. And what I think we'll find is the academic success will come naturally when we teach kids these skills. All of the academic success is just like it will happen naturally. It doesn't have to be forced, because kids are well enough and are in a place where they're ready to learn. Any final thoughts before we close out this great conversation?
Touching on that last spot, I think that you can't have any type of success without your wellness.
Right.
And without focusing on your mental health. And I can't show up if I'm not in the right space. If I don't feel good, I'm not going to be able to do my best. So I think that it's important for us to really focus on our wellness, focus on our health, focus on our mental health, so that we can put our best foot forward and live our best life, and show up authentically our best way that we can. Any last things that I can say is that I love everyone. I wish everyone joy, and I hope that hope that everybody doesn't mind taking a moment with me right now. Is that okay?
Let's
Can we
do it.
take a moment and I just want to take a moment with everybody because this, as you heard my story, I didn't have to be here.
Right.
Sharing it with you guys. I could have been taken out, and mindfulness has definitely kept me going. So I want to be present in this moment,
Okay.
and I would love for everybody to just take a moment, and we're going to just breathe in and out. And while you are breathing in and out, I just want you to think about how you feel today. How do you feel today? How do you feel right now in this moment? And that's it.
Mm.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jalisa. It was great. Thanks again for your speech this summer and for showing up tonight and for all the work that you're doing. It's beautiful, love filled work. And I know everybody is blessed. All your colleagues and your students and community members are blessed to have you there. Is there anybody you want to shout out before we sign off?
Yes, I want to shout out my owners, Melissa and Darwin Eubanks of Minds in Motion Academy. And I want to shout out all my amazing teachers and the amazing director, Miss Amy Kennedy, Erica Unger. I want to shout you guys out, all the teachers and the students and families of Minds in Motion Academy. I love you guys. All my family in Boston and South Carolina and all over the world. Everybody, I want to shout you out and know that you are loved.
Thank you. Thank you, Jalisa. Appreciate your time. We'll
Thank
be in touch. All right.
you.
Take care. All right, everybody. That's Jalisa White talking about mindfulness. Really powerful. If you're just tuning in, highly recommend going back to the beginning and checking out the entire live stream. Really, really wonderful, wonderful stuff. If you are interested in learning more about mindfulness, we will be announcing our retreats for this summer. These are going to be open to any public school employee in South Carolina. We're going to hold one in June and probably one in July. The dates for that will be on the Cool website, probably sometime in January. So when we come back from break, hopefully by about the middle part of January, we will have our information on that, including registration, so that you can come and learn more about mindfulness. And we hope to have some more mindfulness resources on the Cool website. So you just go to cool.us or cool.us and learn more. I also want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, which is the SCEA and NEA. If you're interested in joining, you can go to jointhescea.org, or you can text the word join to 48744. We would love to have you as part in our movement to create the kind of schools that Jalisa and I were talking about. If you're interested in a documentary about some of the stuff we talked about rehumanizing school, you can go to cool.us/rehumanizing school. Created a documentary that kind of goes in depth into these topics about the importance of treating human beings as human beings first, rather than as teachers and students. We would love your feedback on that. Coming up, we have a couple of things. One that you definitely need to know about: all induction teachers can get free online one-to-one support from one of our cool coaches. Angie, Stephanie, and Marcella are on every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 o'clock. It's free. It's online. Just go to cool.us/coaching. Also, if you'd missed it, there's another episode of Cool Books. It's now on the Cool website. Cassie Owens Moore did a new video on diverse holiday books. If you missed Pete, we're releasing that this week, a new video on saying no to scripted lessons. I love this video. Please, when you see stuff like this, like it, share it, comment. And coming up, we just announced this today. January 8th, we are going to have a conversation with a history teacher from River Bluff High School in South Carolina. His name's Michael Burgess, and the title of the live stream is "I'm a Culture War Pinata Teaching United States History in South Carolina." That's going to be January 8th at 7 o'clock. And if you have not checked out the resources on the website, cool.us/yoga, Alex Del Castillo is a teacher here in Horry County who leads yoga sessions every Wednesday on TikTok and Instagram. So check those out and check out our website, and you can learn more about yoga on the website as well. And that's our wellness retreats also include a few yoga sessions, and they're very introductory yoga sessions. Anybody can participate. So that's about it for tonight. I want to thank Yelena Popovich, who connected me with Jalisa White, and who is also one of our co-facilitators at these retreats. Again, want to thank Jalisa White for showing up tonight and her amazing story. And thank you. This will be the last live stream until the new year. As we close out 2024, I just want to say thank you. Thanks to everybody who has supported our mission at Cool to improve the inner and outer lives of educators. I want to thank all of my colleagues at the SCEA, Dr. Marcella Weinsnyder at Cool. I want to thank our executive director, Tom Hudson, our president, Sherry East, all the folks at NEA, everybody who has been supporting the work that we do at Cool. And thank you for tuning in, for all the people who are coming to our retreats and workshops and showing up to our live streams. It's been a really great year, and we look forward to expanding what we're doing and making what we do more effective in 2025. And I hope that you and your families celebrate the holidays and have some wonderful, create some joy and peace in your world as we celebrate these holidays and come together with our families and our friends. And I hope that all of you educators out there who are about to go on break have a really relaxing break. Please don't try to do too much. Do less. My motto is do less and do more that's meaningful. Making room for, when you do less, you make room for stuff that's more meaningful, and take good care of yourselves. Don't feel guilty for sleeping in a little bit, taking some naps, relaxing, reading a book that you like, making a good meal, healthy meal that you enjoy with your family, and just take some time to decompress and step away from the rigors of teaching every single day, and just enjoy yourselves. We wish everybody happy holidays and a happy new year. We'll see you in January. As always, please visit the Cool website. And if you have any comments or questions about these live streams, feel free to reach out to us. If you have suggestions for future live streams, or need assistance or want free professional learning, you can contact us on the Cool website. We'll see you. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday break, and we'll